It's Friday, Friday, gotta get down on Friday. I think that's how the song goes. It's been quite some time since I've heard it and really prefer not to have to listen to it again. So we're just gonna make you guys hear it instead. Get it stuck in your head. But happy Friday. I took this weekend off. So I took today and Tuesday off for PTO because we had Monday off. So I'm like, hey, you know what I'm going to do is take one hell of a long weekend. And that's what I plan on doing. So it is Friday. It's like not even 2 p.m. yet. And I am just thriving because I have barely done anything. I have laid on the couch with a heated blanket, cozied up, watching TV. And let me tell you, like, this is the best way to spend PTO is basically by doing nothing. That's my favorite thing. I know we take often our PTO times to go on vacations and do all these fun, extravagant, exhausting activities, but my favorite thing is taking a little bit of time every so often to just do nothing. And I love it. I needed this. I was getting burnt out. So we are feeling much better just for a few hours knowing I didn't really have to log in today. So that was pretty good news for me. But today, while I'm sitting on the couch and watching TV, I just want to say I'm not proud of what I am about to tell you I've been watching, but it's right up my alley. And I think it is the funniest show that I have picked up in a very long time. So, if any of you all know me to any extent, you would know I am borderline obsessed with reality TV shows. And I'm talking all forms of reality TV shows. Bravo, we're talking about Vanderpump Rules, Summer House, Below Deck, in all forms and fashion of Below Deck. I don't watch much Real Housewives, but I do love Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I think that one is top tier, mainly because it's a newer one, so I was able to pick that one up from season 1 and not have to backtrack several years of Real Housewives shows. I also have been watching the New York one when that was on, and then from time to time, I'll dabble in Beverly Hills. I know I'm from Atlanta. I should be watching that one, but again, this is just I have to backtrack so far to understand the character developments that have gotten to where we're at. So, I stick it in between just a few here and there, but overall, anything Bravo puts out, Southern Hospitality, oh my gosh, Southern Charm, those that's my jam. And I also am a big Bachelor fan. I haven't been my entire life, but when I got out of college, that's when I started watching it because I've lived alone most of my time since college. So, sitting at the house, you see all the ads for it, and when you get bored, Mondays, you're good. That will keep you entertained for several months of the year because there is Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, now Golden Bachelor. So many options. And then I also love Married at First Sight. And if I'm being fully honest, maybe one day I had a couple glasses of wine several years ago after first starting Married at First Sight and watching it. And it was when they were playing the DC season. And I thought the matches were really well done. Not a lot of them ended up staying together, which made me feel sad because genuinely, from personality stances, or at least what they portrayed on television, the matchmakers did a damn good job. So when I was watching that, just like I am now, I was single, and I thought, man, if they ever came to Atlanta, which apparently they did several years ago, but if they ever came to Atlanta, I would maybe consider that. So I looked it up online and they were casting the next season for Atlanta and maybe I took several hours and filled out an application, and maybe I went through a couple of interview processes before I panicked and realized this potentially might end up happening of me getting matched. So I backed away and ran and did not follow through with me doing anything in that. But I love watching the show. And as I get older, now I regret maybe not doing it, but they didn't match well in Atlanta, in my opinion. They could have done better. So I didn't quite miss out. They needed better group of people to match, I feel like. So who knows? Anywho, I usually plan every day of the week around reality TV schedule. Bachelor on Mondays. Right now, Vanderpump Rules on Tuesdays. Married at First Sight on Wednesdays. Thursdays is like Southern Charm, Southern Hospitality. And then we just kind of dabble in whatever Netflix has out to fill in the gaps here and there. But I'm caught up on everything. There's not really something I need to be watching today, especially workday time on a Friday. And Fridays suck because no new shows come out on Fridays. Weekends, man, they really need to realize there's some people that don't get out much and we rely on their schedule. So it could be a big hit. But anywho, I caved and today I looked up the show Chasing Chelsea. I just said his name wrong. Chasing Kelsey. I I'm amazed. I'm not a Swiftie, at least not a self-proclaimed Swiftie. I love Taylor Swift. I will listen to her music. There's some days to where it's just like the good-hearted vibes, or the days to where, yeah, the long ass All Too Well song just really hits home when I'm in a sad mood and just need a few tears to come out, because I do have correlations to most of those sad songs because I was in my middle school years, high school years when she was putting most of these out. Of course they hit home. That is the most depressive years when it comes to love, because you think every person you meet is gonna be the one you marry, and then as you get older, you slowly lose a little bit of that hope, but it's okay. But I do love Taylor Swift, and more than anything, I really like how she portrays herself. I like the goofy quirkiness. I like her just being authentically, genuinely herself, and not necessarily caring what people think about her. For the most part, she seems like a good person. Besides her crazy dating history in her life, she really doesn't have horrible things to say about her other than people are like, "Oh, she's annoying," or "She's a crappy singer," whatever people's excuses are. Overall, in my opinion, I think Taylor has a good heart, good soul, and she's kicking ass in the industry. If you can be a crappy singer, which I don't think she's crappy, I don't think she's the best singer of all time, but if you can be able to make yourself out of whatever the hell you have to bring to the table, that's talent. And she puts on a show. She knows how to engage the crowd. So while I am not a Swiftie, I am very much appreciative of how she has become a role model to people in this world. And I'm not a quote unquote feminist, but I am one that I appreciate feminine role models that can just have people to look up to, and girls that can say, you know what, we can also kick some ass, and we don't have to be a badass bitch to be able to do so, or we don't have to be aggressive in certain ways. We can go through trials and tribulations and heartbreak and just be a female and still be able to be looked up to. That is what I think is truly just a beautiful thing. It reminds me of, like, in some way, but also different. Like Jennifer Aniston, you don't hear of negative shit on the radio or in TV or on media about Jennifer Aniston doing dumb shit in the world. She has a good heart. She's a great actress. She's beautiful. And Jennifer Aniston is one of those feminine, beautiful role models that people can look up to and not really have to feel like, oh, we've got to be somebody else. You can just be yourself, and whatever you have to bring to the table, boom, bring it, and being authentic and authentically yourself will get you so much further than trying to be somebody else. It's my thoughts. But anyhow, had to preface, I'm not a Swiftie, but I have to preface I appreciate Taylor Swift. I'm in that middle ground stage. I do have an opinion of it to where more pro Taylor. And her and Travis Kelce, I appreciate. He has done some dumb shit on the field. Super Bowl, we all saw the video. Most of us watched it live. Not really proud of how he acted around his coach and did make me a bit hesitant. But I'm also one to realize, hey, I mean, when I get mad, I can't say I'm the most perfect person of how I act. I'm not shoving people around. Don't get me wrong. But this is his career, this is his life, and there's a lot of pressure around being in the Super Bowl and having to win. And if you're a control freak in any way, I'm one of these people, you might act a little bit funky wonky just on the fly on accident because you know that there's something you can do to change the results of where something's going. So in the Super Bowl, there's a lot of pressure. So I'm not condoning what his actions were like, but my thoughts is I'm like, as long as you don't treat Taylor, you apologize to the coach, you try to do better, we can all move on and be better people when we F up. So just don't be aggressive to Taylor. Okay. That's all I'm saying. No girl in this world deserves it. I've been through the dating shithole to know there's some crappy guys and crappy actions out there, and people have done things to me physically, mentally, emotionally that I don't condone and I draw the line. But I also know guys can get a bit aggressive in moments like that. As long as it's not to a woman, my opinion, there's things that can be looked at and looked over. But I do like Travis Kelce, and I like Taylor Swift and him together. And I was hesitant about Travis Kelce and her at first because I thought he maybe is doing this for the fame. I don't know. Taylor's just people joke, "Oh man, I had never dated," but realistically, like she's beautiful, she's fun, she's quirky. Guys would want to date that if they didn't have to worry about her writing a negative song about her. I feel like out in the wild, people would love that type of girl. So realistically, like great. But I also do kind of feel like Travis has the opportunity to take advantage of the situation if he wanted to. But the more and more you see them together, the more you hear the story, it's like, oh, okay, maybe they're a really dang good fit. And what I love about them is how freaking quirky he is that I didn't know because I didn't really know Travis Kelce that much. And I'm a fan of him because I also am in a fantasy football league with my company. And this year, I got second place, second to my manager, whatever. I forgive him, but honestly, a lot of respect because of the people in my company and the people that are in that fantasy league that have left the company. It's kind of nice to see my company's team of the strategic customer success organization end up winning the top two. I don't know. I felt pretty good about that one. It's like, hey, best in the company, best in fantasy football. What can we say? But joking aside, our company is great in all teams in all areas. I just want to be the best. And I feel like our team has a lot of opportunity where we work. But side note, Travis Kelce was on my fantasy football league, and without him, there was no way I was gonna end up making it to much less the fantasy playoffs or even winning. And when I say I won second place, I have a lot of credit to give to a couple of my friends' boyfriends because they helped maybe sway a couple, if not most, potentially all of my decisions to get me to do a successful season in fantasy this year. So props to them. You know who you are. Don't want to shut you out because I don't want other people running to you for fantasy tips, but y'all are my ride or die fantasy friends. But Travis Kelce, once I started hearing his name with Taylor, he got on my fantasy league. I was like, we'll start learning about him. He's attractive. Like, we are not going to brush over that one. And then you see the small little snippets of the Chasing Kelsey show, and it's hilarious. So today, when I am in my world of relaxation and doing the things I love, I thought, We're doing it. We're gonna find this, and it's on Peacock for anyone that's wondering. So, luckily, because of my addiction to reality TV and needing my emotional support background noise when I'm doing anything throughout the house, I am subscribed to pretty much every single platform to some degree. So, another thing I'm not proud of, thank you for taking all of my money just so I can have some form of happiness blasted on the TV. But I turned on the show. I freaking love Travis Kelce now. Episode 1, hilarious. I mean, he's got the confidence, he's got, like, the swag type thing that's, like, attractive, and there's a reason why he is in charge of this dating show, and he is the one that all the girls are trying to date, but he's that kinda banter that I love to banter with, but it doesn't mesh with everybody, and I feel like everyone loves to banter in some form or fashion, but it is so fun watching him respond to these girls' introductions. And if you have or haven't watched it, like, what got me fully in, outside of his intro to where he's, like, dancing and just being an absolute, like, dumbass goofball, what got me dying laughing is one girl silently just goes up and it's like they get 60-second introductions. She goes up and is like, "Can I just hug you for 60 seconds?" And he's like, "Well, I'd like to get to know you." Like, clearly he does not want that. And he's like, "60 seconds of a hug is a long time." And they just sit in silence, and he's just, like, awkwardly like this, like, holding her while she is, like, embracing herself into him, and he's like, "Yep." And it is so funny, but so cringy, but also, like, he's being as respectful as he can, and it's just so relatable because I feel like I've had so many very similar moments to where I'm sitting there on a date or I'm out with friends or, you see that drunk girl at the bar in the bathroom that's crying and you're just like, "What am I supposed to do right now?" But he's got a really good sense of humor, and I love the goofiness. I think all people, if you're goofy in any way, embrace it, express it, don't hide it. If you're just like this super stoked person, whatever, but I think life is meant to have fun, to laugh, and even if it's laughing at yourself, just live it up. I think it's the best. But today I decided we're gonna watch Chasing Chelsea Kelsey. Man, that's like they should have really spelled it with a K or something. I don't know. But start watching the show and I dig it. I'm enjoying it. I'm sold and I will be watching it through because the drama is great. It's like that OG kind of early 2000s drama too. I want to say it was like in like 2016 something. Don't quote me on the time, but I did look at it, but I already forgot. But it was before a lot of reality TV ended up just being about being famous on Instagram or I don't know, like, you couldn't really drink on some of the shows. It's the OG, like, the girls are gonna get catty and very bitchy, and they are, and it is hilarious, and I love it. It's great. This is pure gold television, right up my alley, so I'm glad I caved. If anybody else needs a new show to watch, please go to Peacock. I can't talk today. Please go to Peacock and just pick up the show. Just the first episode is great. Like, I could watch those 60-second intros every day. It was great. It was really good. And it also reminds me, pivoting kind of some points here, that with dating, I have realized, and I've known this for a while, how shitty it is. I'm 28 years old. Dating has changed significantly since I became of dating age to where dating apps were just now getting started. I mean, I think it was my sophomore year of college when I learned that Tinder was a thing. To be fair, I think I had Tinder for like 6 months. I may have met somebody in college like once off of Tinder and I was fully bought out. And then I learned because this was and I feel like maybe it's gotten better because I know a lot of people who've met and got married off of Tinder, but Tinder, in my opinion, is just I don't go there. That is not where my profile will live. I have to be very much in a desperate mode to be like, "Hey, we're getting on Tinder today." And that hasn't happened in several years. So, no, because it is more of a hookup app. It's not as genuine and people looking for relationships. So, every now and then when I get sick of Hinge, then I'll go to Bumble, but to be honest, I'm done with dating apps. Everybody is, everyone says this, but I'm so done with them. And watching the show is reminding me of the conversations I have with friends about how crappy the dating market is. And part of it is, and why I freaking hate the apps, to be honest, is it's a full-time job, honestly. Like, you gotta put in so much work and effort to get anywhere there, at least to get success from it. And what I mean by that is I don't have the motivation every day. I don't like notifications in any sense. It is a miracle my job has kept me around when I hate the binging noise of my cell phone going beep, 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 beep from texts or calls. Personal phone is 99% of the time on do not disturb, or if there's ever a group chat, I've muted it. If a friend has texted me more than, and I mean close friend, like maybe not my very, maybe even my very best friend, depending on where I am at in that mood of the day, week, whatever. If I get a couple of texts that are like back to back to back, it's do not disturb for a little bit and I let it settle down. I let my, like, stress levels just kinda get to a normal before I get the emotional energy to be able to read and reply, because I just prefer a phone call. I prefer picking up the phone, talking to you, getting through a conversation, and then hanging up, or even picking up and saying, "Hey, what are you doing tonight? Meet me at 6. Come over to my place, let's go to dinner," or whatever. Cool, and then that's the plan, and then we hang up, we don't have to talk for hours, and then I get to see you and unload my life. Texting is also exhausting, but dating apps, I'll get the motivation to where I'm like, I do need to put myself out there because I don't really get out of the house much. I really don't. It is sad, but not sad because I absolutely love being at home. I love my home too. It is just my complete safe haven. Again, one day I'll talk about my whole living experience the past several years, but my current home that I've been living at for about 5, 6 months now, I love it. It's just great. It's got a yard. My dog loves it. He's the happiest he's ever been. I have a little dog door he can go in and out of. So I don't get out much. I live here. And dating apps requires you to put in a lot of effort to get out and talk to people. But I would love the dating app to be, hey, more of like a scheduler. Maybe I'm getting some here with a business idea. To where if you match with somebody, there's like a day, time, and place you can pick. And they just click on it, you confirm, gets thrown on your calendar, and then you have a date that's on your calendar. Because the amount of energy it takes to get on the app, match with people, have maybe a pickup line, talk for a bit, talk more, slow talk, maybe get asked the number, or people are just diving into getting your number. And I'm like, hey, buddy, stranger, maybe you don't even have your full name on this profile. It's likely just your first name or sometimes just an initial. I don't know who the F you are. And if I'm giving you my number, like putting me a little bit at risk, but cool. World's risky. Life sucks and then you die. So I'm like, how much risk am I willing to put out there? Probably a lot more than I should. So cool. Here's my number. Or I don't know enough about you to give you my number yet. Again, I just would rather meet you in person and then take it from there because then I'm going to have to text you. And then when I don't text you back, then you're going to get annoyed or whatever. Just make some damn plans. And when I get motivated to get on Hinge, I get on and I'll match, match, match. I'll have like maybe like 10 people because I'll get on like a couple times a month. I'm so sorry to people that I have matched with on any dating app. Like, cause I feel like I put myself out there and people are like, yes, it's going somewhere. That's great. And then I just drop off the face of the earth. It's like whole Facebook marketplace to where you're like, hey, is this still available? And then never again. It's like the profile just gets deleted. And It's not because 'cause I'm getting in relationships, it's just because I don't have the time to small talk and get on a third party app to then talk, to then just hope we get somewhere with plans. And if I ask you out, I likely never hear from you again. If you ask me out, I feel like it just takes so much longer to get there. And anybody who's on the dating apps, just figure out time to meet. Like, let's stop all this bullshit. I know some people don't like it, but people like me, that is how I prefer. And I even have it on my dating profile. Like, I've got the thing of what is the prompt? It's like, "Oh, the best way to ask me out is," and I put, like Nike says, "Just do it." Okay, I'm corny, but I think it's funny. But anyhow, and then I rarely ever get asked out, or if I do, then it's them trying to match with me, and it's usually someone that is just not anywhere of interest, like politically completely different than what I'm interested in, lifestyle wise, not what I'm interested. It just there's not a match, and I can already tell, and I am not picky at all. Actually, I'm very unpicky to be honest. What I'm picky about is my time. And when I'm on the apps, I'll get on, I'll message. I have like a night, maybe I've had some wine. I'm like feeling a little flirty, fun, cool, and I'll have conversations. I'll be sure I'm like checking the app frequently. I don't get the notifications because I'll lose my shit. If it's just bing, 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 I'll lose it. So I don't have the notifications on for it. So I have to log into the app. And when I log into it, I'm like, oh, I'm getting in the mood. Like I'll message. Maybe this goes on for like a day, two, through maybe 3 days. And then by that third or fourth day, I'm exhausted. I've wasted too much energy and there's still no dates planned. And I may be talking to like 10, 15 people at this time. I can't keep up with more than one conversation at once. Way too much to keep up with. So then I just quit, and then I never meet somebody, and it goes absolutely nowhere. So dating apps suck, and that's from my perspective. And I don't feel like guys suck that entirely. Like, I feel like a lot of times you get the energy that you put in, like, you're gonna get that back most of the time. And I used to be, hey, I want them to message me first. And just depending on the scenario, I do prefer the guy to message first. But just because I want them to feel like, hey, they're like being the man, like I can be my little like feminine side of things. I am so much in what they say, like your masculine energy 99% of the time because of work and life and just being very hyper independent intentionally and sadly unintentionally. And in dating and in relationships, I do aspire to have a man that I can just like get more of my feminine energy and just like taken care of. And girls love planning, like plan something, like put in the effort initiative, and I'll give back 100% of what you give. If not 400 times what you're probably giving to me, just because I'm a lover, I'm a giver, and I understand that there's effort that needs to be played. But I I'll message people, no problem. And I do feel like it's relatively rare that I just get someone with like one or two word responses and then it's like half-assed replies or half-assed interest. And that's probably why those people can stay on the apps for so long because it's like, hey, there's not much energy being put in. But if I'm typing out like a paragraph, two, three like replies, and we're like in like two conversations at once, I can't do that to multiple people at a time. I just can't. I can't keep up with one conversation, much less three with like 10 people. But I do know that girls talk about how lazy guys are on the apps. Maybe they'll reply, maybe there's like one or two word responses, which when I get responses like that, I know it's going nowhere. So I just want to have fun with it. And if someone's like, yep, then I'm like, ooh, yeah, good combo. And I will call them out on it in just like a lightly funny way. A lot of times it ends up going well, and sometimes they'll pick up the energy or it just dies down and it stays the same. And then I'm gone. Like, I'm just not, again, wasting my time on that. But I hear girls all the time talking about how lazy you guys are in dating and just like terrible conversations and this. But I put in a lot to the dating apps when I do message and I am in that mode that I get usually some pretty good replies and responses, but it's just so long until we ever actually get to the point of going on a date that I'd rather be having these conversations in person, so I die off. But watching this Chasing Kelsey show, see, I got it. Word associations trip me up. But when I'm watching the show and I see the girls that seem genuine and interested, there's a connection or they're funny, they are authentic, and then you see the girls that are just awkward, rely on their looks, or the girls that are socially unqualified to be dating, much less on a TV show, or the girls that just overdo it and you're like, "Come on, like that is a lot at once." And read the room. Read the energy here. There's not much being given. Don't throw it back too hard. Like, you can teeter-totter with the line a bit, but don't just jump in head first when someone doesn't like the water? So, I've heard from guys recently of how shitty girls are at dating on the dating apps. And when I get on the apps, I'm putting this energy, 9 times out of 10, the replies are, yes, somebody is replying to me and excited or this. And I'm like, what the fuck are you girls doing? Or what? And maybe I'm doing it wrong because I'm still not getting asked out. But I'm like, guys are at least appreciating talking to me. And end of the day, if things do work out with somebody, you're going to have to live a long life with someone. Talking's pretty much most of what you're going to be doing. So you got to figure out a way to talk to people and enjoy it. And I hear about how lazy girls are on the apps and how horrible they reply and how guys put in effort and this and that. And I'm like, the dating world sucks, no matter what end you're in. And I feel shitty because I'm like, I might be getting an interest in a guy. And then my life just gets in the way of me logging into an app to then reply to people. So I'm probably one of the girls, people like, oh man, F her. She didn't reply to me. Blah, this. It's nothing personal, I promise. But what I struggle with is the love bombing that occurs because of the energy I put in. It is, if I get to the date, the guys tend to look at that situation as it's not getting any better than this. We got to lock this in right now. And I'm like, I don't even know if I like you yet. I take time. Again, the date is where I start to sit there and be like, here we go. Now we're learning about each other. We can have some good messages, but like, then I'm interested. But I want that date to at all think that there's a connection. If I'm getting love bombed and I don't even know your favorite color, because that is something I ask. I am that core basic dater of, so like, what's your favorite color? Gotta know, it's important. If you're someone I really like, maybe I'll wear that next time we hang out. Because I'm lame, but whatever. But I feel like this dating industry sucks. And it is a great example of the realm of what you get on the show. But it's just I'm connecting to the show because I connect with how crappy dating is right now. With that being said, this past week I came up with a plan. I did. And I have a way that I'm going to start putting myself out there. And it's not dating apps. If anything, I'm pretty much done with those just because I'm not getting any. It's just too much time and exhaustion. And we're good. We're good. I feel like when you meet people, oftentimes they're not quite what you expected from the apps. Maybe like, just for example, great date story. And it's funny because my old roommate had matched with this person like a year later. And she's like, oh my gosh, Amber, I just hit jackpot on this app and this guy, whatever. I'm like, wait, who is it? And I had went on a date with this guy. It was awful. He was a lawyer. He was tall in shape, pictures so unbelievably attractive. I was like, whew, either this man's a catfish or yeah, you hit jackpot. And when we were messaging, there was good banter. He asked me out early. We met up like the next day, and I was so excited. And there's been some dates where I get excited beforehand, and like a lot of times I'll pray before the date. I'm like, God, like, please make this a good one. And if this is the one, like, open up my heart, mind, and like, put me there, put me in the moment. And if not, like, let's just make this a good date and then go home and, like, we'll move on. But I was really excited for this one, and I remember I pulled in, there was some place I had to valet, and I also am one of those people, like, very rare occasions will I let somebody pick me up because I want an out, so I'll meet people there. So, met them. The second he walked out of the car, it clicked. He's an awkward guy. And not awkward and, like, quirky, whatever. Like, every body social movement he made was just like, "You good?" And he couldn't stop talking about him being a lawyer, and it gave me the ick immediately, and I feel bad for saying that. I know that there's somebody out there that will be great for him, and he has the right intentions, he's looking for whatever, but and it wasn't like he was catfishing me, but when a picture versus somebody is like, physical, in the moment vibe you get, it was not what I was expecting. And I remember on this date, I was praying for it to be over. And at one point, I walked up. I was like, "Hey, I gotta go to the restroom." I did go to the restroom. I came back. He was like, "Oh my gosh, I thought that you had left me. Ha ha ha." And I was like, "No." In my mind, I was like, well, he was already expecting it. Maybe I could have, but I'm not mean. I don't leave dates like that. But you have to really do something shitty for me to like actually try to do that. And I can say, bottom of my heart, I have never just dipped on a date. But this guy and I were not a match, and he was just so cringy, like, trying to hold my hand the entire time, and I'm also, like, a little bit awkward with physical touch. I have to really have some chemistry and comfortability with somebody to, like, wanna, like, hang on, like, hold your hand and, like, snuggle. When I'm there and there's the chemistry, I'm all in. Like, you're gonna have to push me off of you in a lot of times, but very early stages, I don't know what it is. I don't really I'll give hugs and I'll, like, be, "Woo," and if I like you, like, I'll be put my hand on you, like, great, but I am not trying to hold hands and just, like, snuggle or, like, be trying to watch the stars at night on a first date, like, that's not gonna be it. But I remember that date, and it was like, "Oh my gosh." It's not even a catfish, it's just you've gotta see somebody to know if there's a vibe or chemistry or the way somebody moves or talks or laughs and smiles and if you're interested. And again, I'm not super picky with stuff. It sounds like I am, I promise, but I'm not. I have some core things that I feel like we should connect on. And if you are remotely ish attractive to me, which I don't have a type of hair color, style, body build. I've dated people who are, like, tall and thin. I've dated people who are, like, bodybuilder status, ex-steroid people. I've dated people who are, um, dad bods. The only thing I care about is you're 5'10" because 'cause I'm 5'5" and above. And if you're not quite there, like, I have room for negotiation here. Like, if your personality stands through and you're, like, 5'8" and we vibe together, I'm also interested. Like, there is no distinct, "Oh, they've gotta be like this," but typically, especially on the apps, I'm, like, 5'10" or above, and then I like a good smile. My brother says I like someone that has nice arms, but I don't think about that, but he thinks that I'm drawn to that. But again, I don't really think about it. But I don't really have, like, a distinct type. So for me, it's like, yeah, I just wanna see someone, and if I have that physical connection, then I feel like we're off to a good start, and we can probably get there if there's mutual interest. Because I can talk to a brick wall. I mean, I'm a podcasting, so clearly, I can talk to anything when there's nobody on the back end. And I am a great listener too. So if I'm dating somebody or if we're doing whatever, friends, dates, whatnot, I don't talk all the time. Promise, this is podcasting. I do talk a lot, but not like this. But I came up with this idea that I am going to make little dating business cards for me. I hope people don't immediately steal my idea until I actually order these because I feel super bought in and I can give you the pros and cons to them once I try it. So, like, just wait for me to do it, and then if it works, like, run with it. But I wanna start this thing, okay? And I'm putting it in the podcast so people know this is my thoughts. Mom years ago, when I was, like, in high school thought, "Oh, let's just like get you some business cards with your number on it and you can pass it around." So maybe this is mom's idea, but I'm executing right now. What I'm planning on doing, which only one person has said, terrible idea, you're going to seem desperate. But I've asked a lot of people. So that's like, good ratio. Not everyone's going to love my ideas. But I'm going to print some business cards with a picture of me, my name, my phone number, very small little things about me that you would kind of find on an app. And I'd ask my friends to give me some like keywords or things about me that like I should implement in this. So I'm gonna have like a few adjectives like fun, quirky, um, I don't know. But it's basically gonna be like a picture of me, and I'm probably gonna have is like, and I haven't laid all the details down. I might make these today, but it's like picture of me, 5'5", green eyes, blonde hair, bubbly, quirky, genuine, and I don't know, but something like that. And then I'm gonna have is like the little like line on it. Hate dating apps? Question mark. Me too. You should give me a call though. And then I'll pass it out to people. And I'm thinking about putting like a QR code on the back. It's where they can scan it and it'll go to like a landing site or Google Docs or something that has like a little bit of about me and what I'm looking for, more in depth the things that you could see on a dating profile that would make you interested. And then this is my comedy showcasing here. My friends also thought I should do this, so I'm going to definitely do it because I thought this was a great idea. I'm going to screenshot the replies of, "Hey, what's something that if you were to hook me up with a friend or someone you saw, like, what would you tell them about me? What are some facts? What are some like, how do you look at me? And what would you think people would like should know about me if you wanted them to go on a date with me?" And I got some bullshit answers in a lot of them, which I knew was gonna happen. Like, "Oh, she's got big boobs," or, "Oh, man, blondes have more fun." Like, I don't know, dumb shit. And then, like, one thing that's I think also still on my dating profile, like, "I'm scared of armadillos." People like, "Throw that in there." But I think I'm gonna screenshot them because there were also some really nice genuine ones that I loved, and what I wanna do is maybe even take those and add it as, like, reviews from friends, and then, like, have them read what my friends wrote about me as their experience or thoughts of, like, why people should date me. I think it'd be funny. I think it's a good thing, and then I'll have these cards, and that way, if I'm out in public and I see someone that, like, physically I'm already noticing that interest there, I gotta go up to them. I'll just be like, "Hey, are you single?" Make sure they don't have a ring. I tend to do that quite often because of the age I'm at now, and just, like, drop it wherever. Like, "Hey, well, you should take this. Hope you have a good night. Thanks." And then walk away and, like, we'll see. Maybe we'll start back up conversations later on if it's at, like, at a bar or something. But I'll be at the gym and I'll see, like, a couple of guys playing basketball that I think are cute or people that are in the same area as me lifting weights, and I'm like, "Man, they're cute," but let's be honest, nobody really wants to get interrupted in the middle of being at the gym, or it's just not the time and place, or maybe someone's walking their car and I'm like, they're cute. Like, if they are single and even remotely thinking something similar of me, like, there's never a moment to where there's an introduction and people don't just put themselves out there like that anymore. So I'm about to do it. And someone gave me a good point too. If I'm out at the gym and a guy's like running on the treadmill, I don't even have to say anything to him. Just go up and like drop it in the water cup, like the little cup holder, like wave and then just leave. So if anything, I think that this is just a fun, funny ass way to put myself back out in this dating world. So I think I'm gonna start doing that, and today I'm gonna order the business cards. I because it's gonna take probably like a week for them to come in. I'll just set up the QR code link and then get the QR things set up. But I'll be sure to share with people once these come in because I think this is just pure gold. Because again, I don't get out much in public, and when I do, like I'm not actively seeking or searching or trying to talk or trying to date someone when I'm out. Like, but if I see somebody, it just makes me think, like, how would I ever meet this person? Bet you they're on the apps, bet you they hate the apps. They might be going on dates, or maybe they're not. And they're in the same kind of boat as me, as like, we're just never gonna meet anybody. because we're so stuck to our phones and our own world. Like, we're not getting anywhere with this these days. So, that is my thoughts of how I'm going to be putting myself out there moving forward. Be aware and stay tuned. I will keep you updated. It could be the worst decision I've ever made. This business card could get in the person of the wrong hands. Like, who knows? But at the very least, I'm gonna have fun. I can block somebody on social media, phones, whatever. Like, I'll protect myself however I can. But I think this is a great thing, and I can even pass these out to like my friends that have like husbands or whatever. They're like, "Oh my gosh, like we see someone that like, or we've got a friend that would be a great double date. Like, you know what we could do? Here's like the card, and we'll just pass them out, and then they can reach out to you, whatever." And sorry, I just got a text from my friend, and I knew I shouldn't have put my messages on my laptop because it literally just said, "Hey, I'm supposed to go to a concert with her tonight," and it literally says, "Hey, I think I'm gonna break up with this guy." I'm like, "I'm planning to go to a concert tonight together with him." Okay, let me know. Um, and she's like, "But also, he said meet his place at 9." Great. Okay, I need to not have this going because I'm gonna get super distracted, and I'm trying to close this podcast up. But long story short, dating sucks. We all can't be Travis Kelsey and get a show of our own to bring in 50 people, try to date them. And even if we did, clearly it did not long term last for him. He's now dating Taylor Swift. And how did they meet? He had to get the balls, I believe, to step up and ask her out. And I don't have the time and patience to wait for people to do that hours on end, days on end, months on end on a freaking dating app. So we're taking new approaches these days, ladies and gents. My advice and summary for today is put yourself out there. Be yourself, unique, genuine, authentic, goofy, fun, funny, serious, professional, loving, whatever you are. Don't try to mask that. Throw it out there and see if it lands. And if it doesn't, they're not the right people. If it does, like, great. Then you know that you're connecting with people genuinely and it's not a fake thing that's there. So let's date better, everybody. If you're on a dating app and you're trying to meet someone there, put in the dang effort, guy or girl, try. I just recommend if you see someone out in public you think is cute, go say hey to them. Do something to introduce yourself. Girls love it when guys make the first move to some degree in that sense. Don't be creepy or weird about it. Just say, hey, saw you over there, was interested. If you're single, would love to go out sometime. Mind if I give you my number? Or mind if I take your number? One or the other. You can put the ball back in her court since you made the first move. Like for me, being the ballsy one about to drop off business cards, what's good about that is I'm not overdoing it in the sense to where I'm asking for their number and I'm still taking all full control. Like I'm opening up the door, and if they're interested, the ball's in their court. And they can then take on that, like, ooh, I asked her out. I did this and I texted her. Like it is still on them. But just let's just start putting ourselves out there. If you're single and you genuinely want to get somewhere, we can't just wait for all of the stars to align and have these perfect romantic love stories. It doesn't work that way, especially when we genuinely are not trying to talk to people outside of our phones. Let's do better. Dating sucks. It's 2024. I am 28 and I'm single and have no prospects really in sight right now. So we hit a flat line here, people. I don't say I'm the most dateable person. I have my flaws too, very self aware of them. But like, I should at least go on a date every so often, right? Like, I could probably count on my hand how many dates I went on the past like 2 years, probably. So I remember people in my mom's days how they used to go on dates like every single night, or they'd meet up with people every few days, or group settings, double dates, this, and that's just something we don't do. So we've got to step our game up, do better. If you want love, give love. If you want a good time, give a good time. But realistically, we need to be putting out the energy that we want to receive. And end of the day, this is all about just trying to be happy. If you love being alone and you don't want to date, don't do it. But today, watching this beautiful love story of Chase and Kelsey just motivated me to jump on the podcast today, talk to you guys about the fun dating life. I will soon be sharing some of my dating history because it has been a bit traumatic. I have had some really great guys in my life, that just didn't work out, locations, timelines, whatever. But I've also dated some people that I've loved genuinely. And there's been some demons in the relationship, and it went to hell. And there are things I've been through, things that have just been very, very, very difficult to get back into the dating world, especially because I feel like it's such a big part of my life and my past. And my emotional health, wellness, and where I am today is because of some of the relationships that I had. So I like to share with people what I've been through so then they understand me a little bit better and more clear, and they can paint that picture of really who I am and where my heart's at and why I do care and love so much, or why I build a wall and it's sometimes hard to break down. But I will be sharing some of these experiences that I put a comical twist to it. But they're very heavy, very deep, very, very dark, sad, scary, and to some people, maybe very triggering. So I will say that is a to come thing. But while I'm in this positive state, trying to get back out there, didn't feel like today is the day to share all of that. So we'll get there another day to where you can get the real stories of my life and dating and why I am here today and truly what's gotten me inspired to make the Type 1 podcast, because while I'll talk about diabetes all day every day, the Type 1 podcast really came about when I was in my darkest, saddest, scariest days of my life, feeling empty and just not me. And it got me on antidepressants, and it also eventually got me to buy the home that I'm currently at and get into therapy and take the steps to get out of the situation and situations that I was in. So the Type 1 podcast really came about of getting through the bullshit that life throws at you, the rough stuff, realizing it is going to be hard and life sucks, but there is that light at the end of the tunnel. And when you get there, it makes everything you've been through, while I wish it never happened, it makes it worth it. And honestly, I don't know if I wish that none of my story happened in that sense, because I wouldn't be as strong in who I am without some of those things. So the Type 1 podcast really came about from really crappy and hard times in the dating life that I've lived. And if you are here, yes, we will talk about diabetes. We will talk about life. We will talk about dating. We will talk about professional goals, struggles, life challenges, things that get in the way, hitting COVID, um, what to do when there's like a 9/11 incident. How do we get ourselves back into the reality of the world and not just get in this state to where we're going to live in those sad and hard moments forever? So, in this Type 1 podcast, we will get there. We're only a few podcasts in, but I promise you, you're going to hear some heavy stuff. Till then, I'm just going to float in some happy go lucky, comedic things to share. And if you stay tuned, you will get the full picture of why we're here and where I can probably relate to you in a lot more ways than you probably think. But hope you guys have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful weekend. If you've got any form of the weekend off because of President's Day, enjoy that. Have a wonderful, wonderful time doing whatever you plan to do. For myself, I just plan to take it easy with the pup. Today I'm doing some yard work, and maybe I'm going to a concert tonight and watching my one of my best friends break up with her boyfriend that I'm meeting for the first time tonight. So We'll stay tuned there. Maybe I'll get her on the podcast sometime, but hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys soon. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I love to hear your feedback, good, bad, ugly. It does help me eventually make this better. I'm still new to figuring this out, so bear with me if you absolutely hated it. And yeah, let's get on. Welcome to the Type 1 group. We'll talk soon.